Welcome back everyone to the October 2018 base race. Last time I decided to skip past the race stage and head directly into the build stage, and I built the glass top of a dome that I'm working on. Last time I was thinking of doing a space traveling type vessel containing environmental stuff similar to what you had in Silent Running. Now I'm thinking, though, perhaps a Mars dome might be more appropriate. And why I have various things in there. I have glass, of course, on top to let in sunlight. And most likely we'll have solar panels, perhaps on the sides and all, to collect that for energy, to collect as much energy from the sun as possible. We are black here to absorb as much heat as possible that we can have, because the sunlight on Mars is rather weak. I figured we want to be able to capture what little heat there is as much as possible. Mars does have about a 24-hour day, slightly differently from the day on Earth, but it's close enough that humans could easily adapt to the day-night cycle on Mars without any trouble, if it weren't for the fact that it was very cold and all that. Now what I'm doing right here, you could see, is adding the glazed terracotta. I was trying to figure out what to do with the glazed terracotta, and I think that it will make a nice point for the lower part on the base here. Now, I am going to be choosing one of these eventually to be where I'll be putting the airlock, because we are talking about Mars here, and Mars isn't exactly the most habitable zone in the solar system. But I figure that we could have airlock going out to the environment, and maybe we start doing some small amount of terraforming out there. I'll see what I have work for when we come along later. Now, I don't have any bark type trees there, but if we don't have any good trees for this particular build, I think that makes sense, because if we're on Mars, we probably haven't terraformed enough in order to make any difference there. Now, the question is what I'm going to do with those points. I'm going to skip those for the moment and head directly back to here. I'm trying to do this so that we are paralleling what we have there. Therefore, what I'm doing is I'm doing this here, right? That's, oops. Oh, that's right. I am going. Yeah, yes, actually, that is right. And then here, and then here. So therefore, we've got a slightly different pattern on the inside than we have on the outside, because that's how the glazed terracotta works. And then I want to do, I think, that and that. So we have the repeating pattern like that. And I'm going to parallel it like this. So I'm going to repeat this all the way around here, and then we'll see what we can do next. Connecting these two sections, we'll have some red terracotta, so that will close up the corners here. That way we'll have the glazed terracotta go with both the red terracotta and hopefully also with the obsidian. We'll go with that all the way around here. Good. Now, since this is terracotta here, and we just used terracotta right there, we don't need terracotta here. And I thought, this is spring, right? Green spring and all that stuff. Then why not use a block that has a little bit of a spring in its step, so to speak? In other words, the slime blocks. Thus, we are using 4 blocks that I usually don't think of as good solid things to walk on, because slime blocks, a little bit of spring here, wool, well, maybe for carpeting, but not for normal lower ground. There's slightly slippery stuff with the ice, and then, well, I suppose wood flooring is reasonably traditional. Maybe not in space, but on Earth it certainly is. For the next layer, I've been trying to come up with a good material to put on top. First, I tried the red terracotta, and that looks awful. That's right. Well, what about polished granite, since I do need to have some polished granite in here. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 12 here. That'll give me 48 in all if I surround it in there. And unfortunately, I can only use 32. Therefore, if I did this, I would have to limit myself to 8. It really doesn't fit what I've got here. I'll probably have to either change what I use as I go around, or I can have one thing on the sides there and another thing here. How about if I put the granite in the middle, and what about black concrete here? No. That doesn't look right either. What if I took the polished granite? I've got it here somewhere. Oh, no, I still have it on my inventory. There you go. What if I put the granite there, and then put that may actually be acceptable. Now this is with red concrete, and I'll keep the red concrete up there for now, but replace this with granite as I did on the other side. Now this is black concrete with the old stuff. Now I don't like that too much, but we already know the solution to that. The choice is therefore between red and black. Black. I think I prefer the black. So we'll go with that. And do it like good, and then that just leaves one more side, which now this only uses up half the granite I need, so I'll still have to think of something to do with the rest of the granite, but I can use that going up the next couple of levels and continue the use of the granite until I used a little bit more of it, and we should be set there. Now I am, of course, coming to the conclusion this is not going to be the prettiest build ever. This is the tricky thing when you don't have full choice of your block palette. It is not going to be known. Actually, it doesn't look as horrible as I was thinking it was, but still no thing of beauty. Then what's for the next layer? What would happen if we use cobble for our next level? So try this here. that, like that. Oops, actually we want that one there. 2, 2, and 2 like that. I think if we then want to go, this will also help me to get the shape defined, because I'm not used to doing spheres. See if I got this right. Yeah, that looks right there. Now we do of course have these holes right here. We need the best way of handling them. I think just filling in the corner like that would be the best way here. Good. Now how does Mossy cobble? Now the material also needs to work out with this, in addition to the shape. Alright, shape is fine. Mossy cobble here is, maybe moving that onto the inside might be a better way to go for the mossy cobble. That just doesn't look right. But what would look right with this? Now the red terracotta, I think, works. Yes, once it's above everything, I think it works nice and well, and it blends in. I think I've got a way to make this thing operate properly. Good. Now if I could just learn how to build in creative mode, all will be wonderful, right? Let's see if, oops, wrong. Right, there we go. And no, not there. There, up there. And let's see, up 2, 2, 3. Oh yes, we want this one here, and now we'll drop that one. And we'll just try repeating this all the way around. With that red terracotta as a buffer, I thought maybe now is a good time for the mossy cobble. And the good news is that it seems to work as a color. The bad news is it's wrong thematically. We're on Mars! What's mossy cobblestone doing out on Mars? No! So I need something else to use. How about a dry cobble? Suppose that might be possible. I could use mossy cobble underground. Actually, how about stone brick? But this is a strange place to start using brick. I would think brick might be more of a lower level item. How about something lighter up here? How would wood work? I'm not too sure about using organic ingredients on Mars, but I suppose it's possible. Let's start with acacia. And see how that'll work. Kill that now, bring that up. And it's the stripes I don't like. But I have to use this somewhere, and this sounds like about as good a place as any in which to do that. So we may be stuck with that idea for a while. I think the acacia worked reasonably well. And I added some blue concrete here to finish up this portion. And I was trying to think what to do about the upper area. I added the remaining granite as sides there, and therefore I only have obsidian at the bottom. So I'm removing all of this obsidian and putting in some concrete. And I'm doing this with first the black color there. Then I'm going into a red band up here. Actually, and I want blue here. I'm hoping this will look reasonable. Therefore, we have a concrete band going around as our structure, but it is going to be changing color as we go up. Oh, no, 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 that has to be red, not blue. Blue would be completely out of place there. There. Oh. It needs to be red. Is that everything okay here? 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 It just leaves this part here. And we'll have a chance to look at this. Now, this part right here was the access I created so I could get inside, and this is where I'll be building an airlock. And the airlock is, of course, going to be a good place to use some of those colors I'm not being able to use. Oh, the be able to use the redstone stuff, the pistons and the redstone blocks and that, I feel it could be used in order to make an airlock so we can get in and out and be able to get the fresh air to stay there and the Martian air to stay out there. I presume then that the base race is going to assume are we going to have to wear spacesuits in order to go out? Well, if this is going to be selected, it'll be December. Now, how are you going to have a Christmas space race with that? But how about if you put this into a frozen area, because that fits with winter, and that the purpose of the airlock in that case is just to keep the area warm, so that we keep the warm air in and the outside. So this could be turned into an Arctic base if we're doing a Christmas base race or something like this. But in this case, we could think of it as being on Mars or some other alien planet, and we're keeping a toxic atmosphere out. So either one of those, I think, would work for this. And therefore, the dome, if it's in a winter area, would then just act as a greenhouse. So that sort of kills what I have here. So I have all of this glass way up here. And fine. And all. Maybe work on Mars when the sun is overhead if we're reasonably equatorial. But if we're in an Arctic land, okay, maybe not an Arctic land, the Himalayas. If we were way up on the Himalayas, we'd also get up cold and a thin atmosphere and stuff like this. Yeah, we want to keep the nice, thick, warm atmosphere out and the thin, cold atmosphere outside, the warm, thick atmosphere here, and an airlock would be reasonable. And maybe we won't have to worry then about as much trouble with the sun being too low in order to get through the glass. Alright, I think that's a reasonable compromise. Now that I have a rationale that works both for an alien planet and for any potential Christmas space races that this may find itself into, the next thing I need to do is to find a way downstairs, because while we're all nice and comfy up here, it is going to be too small to use up everything else. Where am I going to put a water area where I can have some coral? I don't see much hope of that. So therefore, I'm going to build something that's going to go downstairs, probably accessed through the airlock section, maybe? I don't see a good place to put a stairwell, but if I'm going to go out here in order to build an airlock anyway, then maybe as soon as you get inside, you can either go downstairs or come upstairs, and upstairs we have this. This is where we have our plants and our greenhouse, and downstairs we'll have a watery section, and that's where we'll have our coral and stuff like that. The next time we will build the airlock and carve out the area perhaps that we will have for our under area, but I think just by itself next time trying to deal with the redstone in order to get the airlock open and closed might be challenging enough, because we're going to have a small amount of space and we're not exactly mumbo jumbo. Let's see how we handle this in the next episode of the October 2018 base race.